Okay. And start.
I fixed 30 of Team Fortress 2's most broken weapons and set them up on my public server for you to play with. But I have to
sure
start
that
by
went over
apologizing
real
in
well.
advance to
I
any
would turn up the
Natasha,
video volume just
Vaccinator,
slightly.
or Kunai fans out there.
Okay.
You're gonna fucking hate this video.
Oh,
now,
I'm
some
sure.
people might think that TF2 is perfect and doesn't really need fixing, and who am I kidding? None of you are thinking that. My thinking is that since I can't really do anything to fix the bot problem, I might as well try my hand at fixing some of TF2's other problems. You see, most weapons in TF2 are extremely well balanced. There are, however, still a handful of useless weapons that nobody uses and need to be buffed, as well as a few legitimately overpowered weapons that desperately need a good nerf. And there's also a couple of oddball, annoying weapons that aren't even technically good, but just suck to play against and need to be completely rebuffed.
Kind of interesting.
For example, the Natasha is not even a very good weapon, but people still use it for the sheer psychological damage it deals when you have to fight against this thing. It slows down anybody you hit with it, which is really frustrating to play against, so I changed it so that instead of slowing down your enemies, it speeds you up. Heavy's walk speed while revved up with the Natasha is now the same as his normal walk speed. However, he still can't jump or switch weapons quickly, so there is still some incentive to not be revved up all the time.
Wow,
Heavy is still the slowest class in the game, so he's not going to be chasing you down with this.
He immediately turned it into just a better Tomislav right off the bat. We're starting real strong here.
Don't worry, but he will be a monster.
I didn't hear it.
Well, he's like, how about instead of the Natasha slowing down your enemies, it speeds you up?
What was the work on the SFM, good or bad?
What good? What do you mean? Oh yes, good to see you, Dragon Lord. I was talking to this guy earlier today on my community post. Yeah, I'll rewind it a little bit so you can hear.
Is now the same as his speeds you up. Heavy's walk speed while revved up with the Natasha is now the same as his normal walk speed. However, he still can't jump or switch weapons quickly, so there is still some incentive to not be revved up all the time. And Heavy is still the slowest class in the game, so he's not going to be chasing you down with this thing, don't worry.
My God,
he will
he's
be
too
a monster
fast.
with good positioning.
Yeah, way
and
too
good
fast.
positioning is what Heavy is all about. Buffed. Continuing with the Heavy, we've got the Brass Beast, which I think is pretty underrated. Yeah, it sucks being super slow to rev up and move, but that extra 20% damage is really nothing to sneeze at. This weapon is great when you're already revved up, but since it takes so long to rev up, it makes repositioning pretty dangerous. If you need some ammo or a health pack, you better have a shotgun handy because the Brass Beast is just too slow to protect you while you're walking from point A to point B. To help with this, I simply doubled the minigun's ammo capacity. The weapon that makes it hard to reposition safely now gives you some extra time before you need to reposition.
What?
Buffed. And for the
what? I don't understand how more ammo fixes any of the Brass Beast's problems. I mean, it's
not really
welcome.
An ammo issue.
But, I mean, if anything, the Brass Beast needs extra ammo the least out of all the miniguns because it does extra damage, so it'll need the bullets less. How on earth?
I think his idea is that you don't have to, like, he's trying to make it so that you don't have to move as often for ammo if you're set up in a spot because it takes a long time to move.
That's
not I don't know how often someone expends all their ammo sitting in one spot.
Yeah, you're gonna just fire out your entire capacity in a single spot. You're just gonna get shot in the freaking face.
Brass Beast is
the final minigun change, the Huo Long Heater.
I actually
personally
wish the Brass
love
Beast would get a slight buff somehow.
I actually came up with one, and I was talking to Dragon Lord about it, and he knows what I'm talking about. I'll tell you later.
The concept of this weapon, but let's face it, it's flat out useless. The Rings of Fire are a great gimmick, but losing 4 ammo a second to produce them is a mighty price to pay, and it doesn't end up being worth it 95% of the time. It only does 12.5% more damage to burning players, and they're usually only burning if they're already up in your face, which means that any minigun would really tear them apart anyways. At mid-range, the damage bonus is nice, but it's not worth coordinating with your team's Pyro just for that 12.5% more damage. I think this weapon should really encourage the Heavy to link up with a friendly Pyro for a crazy 2-man team, but in its current state, it just doesn't do that. It's too normal. It feels like a normal minigun with less ammo. It's a little less damage most of the time and a little more damage sometimes, but nothing stands out about this weapon other than the rings of fire, which, granted, are epic as hell. I decided to increase the damage penalty to minus 25% so it's harder to fight non-burning players, and instead of doing 25% more damage to burning players, it does 33% more damage in the form of mini crits, which end up turning into the normal minigun damage when combined with that minus 25% damage penalty because of math. So, what's the point? Well, mini crits are unaffected by damage falloff, so fighting a burning target close up won't really be any different. But fighting a burning target at mid-range or long range will be absolute hell for them. I'm hoping this will give the Huo long heater a more specialized role in the game, but since I have...
His idea was to take a weapon that's not very good, but slightly better if you have a Pyro with you, and turn it into a weapon that's completely worthless, but is, you know, kind of cool if you have a Pyro with you.
Right, yeah.
This weapon is terrible unless you have a coordinating Pyro. But if you do, you can deal decent damage from a distance. But at the same amount as stock.
Here's the problem, though. The heavy's minigun at a distance is terribly inaccurate, so it's
it's still very inaccurate, but it's the same damage as the stock minigun. So how is it even worth it? Like, yeah, you'll deal base damage without ramp up, but that's still not very much, and you're just dealing the same amount as stock. Who would go through that much effort just to do the same amount of damage? And nerf it so hard in its normal form. I say buff damage to stock and increase accuracy. I feel like the miniguns should be a bit more accurate. Yeah.
Haven't actually used these weapons in an actual match before. I'd love for you guys to play on the server yourself and tell me what you think. Buffed. Now for some sandwiches. The buffalo steak sandwich is now eaten twice as fast and deploys and holsters a good bit faster too, allowing for high damage melee heavy to be less of a premeditated gimmick and more of a spur of the moment plot twist during a team fight.
Okay.
Buffed. And the Demoman bar is now eaten 4 times faster and deploys and holsters significantly faster, making it more of a mid-battle snack rather than a full-course meal. I've always thought it was the weakest sandwich since it only heals a small fraction of your health, and that 50 bonus health might seem nice, but it
it's
doesn't
kind of
actually...
like a portable small health kit. I kind of like that idea. It recharges very quickly, but it's not too big.
You know what might balance that a little bit more is maybe you only get so many bites. Maybe you got like some charges of bites before you get a slower regeneration. Otherwise, the heavy's going to be walking around corners eating constantly.
Maybe.
Or maybe just lower regen.
Maybe. Cut back on the fire ammo depletion. Yeah, I agree with that, but that's the least of that idea's problems.
Increase your overheal capacity, so if you're using a medic on your team, which you should be, it kind of becomes useless. This new design will allow Heavy to take multiple bites pretty much back to back and will allow him to cut his snack time short anytime he likes to jump back into battle. It still increases your max health and it still doesn't heal much, but now it's way harder to be caught with your pants down like with the other sandwiches.
Yeah.
Buffed. And for our last heavy change, I tried to do something us heavy fans have been wanting for a long time, a heavy subclass. If you don't know, a subclass is basically any weapon or combination of weapons that radically changes how a class is played, while still allowing them to fill their niche role. Think Huntsman Snipers, Demo Knights, and Battle Engineers. Heavy has never had a true subclass, so here's my attempt. The Big Business, previously known as the Family Business. What once was a slightly different shotgun side grade is now a complete and total death machine on par with Heavy's miniguns.
What are you gonna do?
It still has 7 shots in the clip, but instead of boringly just firing a little faster and doing a little less damage, it gives Heavy a speed boost anytime he hits an enemy with the thing. And if he eliminates the enemy entirely, they'll drop a small health pack that Heavy can swoop in and grab with his speed boost. Fat Scout has arrived. Tell your friends. Now, obviously, this is a direct upgrade from the normal shotgun.
Powerful.
That's kinda neat, but the problem is that
there's a scout with 300 health running at you. You know?
Yeah, it's kinda like The problem here is that, at least so far, he hasn't said any reason why you couldn't run this with every minigun and just have literally every heavy running around super fast, because they could shoot someone from across the map, and if they deal a single pellet of 3 damage, then they get a speed boost. Like, this isn't really a subclass because every heavy can equip it. You know, you're not committing to this playstyle.
Right.
Gun so far, and it is a direct upgrade to the normal shotgun. Until you switch to your minigun and realize that 75% of your ammo is gone permanently.
All right.
Which means no spam fire, no busting up sentries, and 75% less ammo from all ammo packs and dispensers. You've really got to use your minigun sparingly, if at all,
it's
if
a
you're
bit
gonna run the big
but
business.
like I said, you have to
Alright, well
commit
that
to
was fun talking about Heavy and all the goodies he got for Christmas this year, but buffs aren't the only thing I'm dishing out today. It's time to move on to a class that has had it too good for too long. These buffs are long overdue. Some of you are gonna love this, and just as many are probably gonna hate it, but let's just face the facts, it has to be done. It's time to nerf the sniper. All sniper rifles have their primary ammo capacity cut in half, and now fire tracer rounds. Stealth is Spy's thing. I'm sick and tired of snipers hiding in the shadows getting cross-map insta-kills without anybody knowing where they are. And you might say that good communication—
Real quick, why are literally all of these clips against bots? Oh, right, because he's modifying the game. My bad. Stupid question.
Fixes the problem of stealthy snipers, but it really does not. First of all, good communication is supposed to be Spy's counter. Sniper's counter is supposed to be good positioning, you know, staying out of his sight lines. And how are you supposed to position yourself accordingly if you don't know where the sniper even is? You can't expect an entire team to know every map's callouts just to deal with snipers. Calling out a spy is effortless. Spy is heavy, spy on carts, spy on sentry, spy at spawn, but snipers don't stick to landmark locations like carts or sentries. They could be anywhere on the entire map. If you're on Badwater and you say sniper on rocks, that could literally mean like 4 different things. And since they're a long-range class and Spy is a short-range class, actually getting to the position takes time, so they have a longer time to reposition than a Spy does. And so the stealth pick class, Spy, is easier to pinpoint verbally than the non-stealth pick class, Sniper. That is a massive fucking problem. If a Spy kills you without you ever seeing him or knowing he exists, you think, man, what a good Spy player. If a Sniper kills you without you ever seeing him or knowing he exists, you think,
killed by a sniper.
Oh, that's an annoying spot. How am I supposed to fight against that? I say, no more. I've just had enough. The reduced ammo will force Sniper to reposition more often or pick sniping spots near ammo packs, making it easier to spot snipers and kill them while they reposition, and make it easier to predict where a sniper might be camping out at. The tracer rounds will also encourage a sniper to reposition more often, so he's less predictable and allows players to actively consider enemy snipers' sightlines during combat instead of just being in the middle of a team fight and getting your head blown off out of nowhere. Because you get to see all the shots the sniper hits, and the ones he misses, you're able to perform a little bit of mental calculus to deduce just how accurate this guy really is, what targets he's prioritizing, and what all he's really able to see from his position. Nerfed.
I kind of agree with
and
all
now
those
it's time
decisions.
for the old switcheroo, the Hitman's Heatmaker, which is the exception to literal—
more intense than it should be.
I mean,
I think that
I would maybe
on small maps or something where a sniper doesn't have that many options, it could be a little bit hard for the sniper to do anything with that. I think it might be a good idea for maybe every third shot to have a bit, you know, the tracer round or something like that, or maybe only when they're scoped in does it have a laser going across or something. But
he's about to say what I was thinking, which is that the Hitman's Heatmaker should be the only exception to this rule.
Literally everything I just said, because this guy does not fire tracer rounds unless the focus ability is activated. I did, however, increase the body shot damage penalty from minus 20% to minus 66%.
Why?
A normal sniper rifle does one.
What? What's the point? It's not even like a super powerful weapon. This
minus 66%.
Did not
he didn't even double it. He like tripled it.
He freaking he castrated this weapon.
50 damage on a fully charged body shot, and the Hitman's Heatmaker does 50. It is the weapon of the tryhards. If you're a truly elite sniper who never misses a shot, you won't notice any of the sniper nerfs as long as you use this weapon. But if you think this weapon sucks, then I have one recommendation for you. Get good.
Oh my lord. No.
And if you're somebody who thinks about game design sometimes, you probably know that by giving every sniper rifle tracer rounds, it inadvertently buffs the Machina, which used to be the only rifle to have that downside. Which is why the Machina now slows down your move speed just a little bit to make up for all the extra damage you get to do.
That is going to completely ruin sniping, because
and now that I'm done being the bearer
to make up for angles and stuff like that.
How does that have anything to do with the whole tracer thing? Just like, you know, all the snipers have tracer rounds, and the Machina always used to. So in order to adjust that a little bit and make it a little more fair, we're just gonna slow them down. I don't know how that correlates.
It's going to be really bad for. Machina is one of my favorite sniper rifles just because I like its extra damage it does. But what it's really going to ruin is when you come up sniper v sniper. A lot of times it's about out-positioning and out-moving the other sniper so that you can get the next shot in. If you're using the Machina, you're not going to move at a rate which is going to be hard to shoot. You know?
Right. This would give you a serious disadvantage against other snipers.
Of based news, it's time to get to the fun stuff. Sniper secondaries. I'll start with the smallest change, the Cleaner's Carbine, which now has highly increased accuracy to make it more of a mid-range finisher weapon, distinguishing it from the SMG's close range capabilities.
It certainly needs a buff.
Oh, and remember how fucking boring the Darwin's Danger Shield is? I mean, come on. Fire resistance? Who cares? Instead of just giving some bland damage resistance to counter one random class in the game, I'm reinventing this item into what I call the Forester's Frog Skin. It'll protect you from danger, sure, but not by passively shielding you from one random class in the game. Instead, this thing gives you increased move speed, massively increased jump height, and 25 less max health. Remember what I said about wanting Sniper to reposition more? This thing will let you do that and then some. You can reposition yourself right in front of some dude's face and lodge an arrow into it, or simply jump back and forth between health packs and high ground.
Like
you can now go where no sniper has ever gone before.
I think that
Nobody will see it
positioning
coming,
tool for Sniper would be really cool, but I don't think this concept's right for it.
Like, you can just hop up and down the entire time. Nothing really stopping you. There should probably be a meter. A charge meter or something.
Right. In that last clip,
react strategically due to the tracer round.
Can you imagine finding a sniper that has this as soldier? That would be so annoying if you don't have a shotgun.
I think even worse would be Demoman.
Probably.
In which case, I think I may have just unleashed the mother of all tryhards. Buffed. The Razorback is getting a similar treatment. Instead of shielding you through mobility, this one actually will shield you passively. Not being able to be overhealed was kinda stupid, so I removed it. I understand why it was there. It was to prevent a sniper from being able to tank a bunch of revolver shots through the overheal while simultaneously being immune to backstabs. But don't worry, because I've removed the backstab immunity. It still discourages backstabs though, because it soaks your stabber in Jarate for 8 seconds. So if you're playing around your team, you are sure to be avenged.
Who the hell cares? I'm gonna take that stab every time I see the thing.
Now it's harder for a spy to stab you and harder for him to shoot you to death, but both are still possible, unlike with the old Razorback, where it forced spies to use their revolver. The health bonus also means you get a little bit more out of health packs and can be overhealed to 225 health, which I think will combo nicely with the Huntsman and hopefully won't be too unfair to fight against. I mean, surely a pocket soldier is still going to be more dangerous than a pocket Huntsman sniper, right? I've also been calling this one the Wet Blanket instead of the Razorback because I just imagine Sniper wearing a huge pea-soaked blanket on his back that coats spies in Jarate for stabbing him. Nerfed, but only kind of. And now for the Cozy Camper, which is exactly the same as it used to be, except that it now puts your max ammo to a whopping 40, so that you can, you know,
Wait, why does
if
this
you somehow manage to surf a rocket into a crazy good sniping position, the Cozy Camper will let you heal back up, like normal, and keep you well stocked up on ammo. Buffed. Alright, time to talk about a weapon that should be cool, but isn't. The Shahancha. A little extra damage when below half health and a little less when above, that's just kinda lame. It's not that impactful. So I changed each instance of 25% with 70%. That's right, 70% more damage when low on health, 70% less damage when you're healthy. That's 111 and 20 damage respectively. It is truly situational now. And of course, adding that much damage to any weapon means I've got to get rid of random crits. You know the drill, we can't have snipers.
I don't think that's really...
How impactful is this
detrimental.
change really?
Right. How often do you see meleeing snipers anyway?
Well, the thing is this doesn't go past the light class one-shot territory. Like, yeah, you'll be able to 2-shot soldiers and 3-shot heavies, but why would you ever be hitting a soldier twice when under half health, or a heavy for that matter, and then you're just completely neutered for melee when you're above it? I think there's a good reason.
I'm offended by what's in your background there. It makes you look like a horde player.
Oh yeah, I'm not a horde player. But anyway, I think there's a good reason why it was 25%, because they didn't want you to be too strong and they didn't want you to be too weak.
It's one-shotting heavies with their melee, and it deploys slow and swings a little slower, so it's really not a get-out-of-jail-free card at all.
Even worse than
You've got to be smart if you pull this thing out, or else you're toast. But even with all the downsides, I still think it'll be better, or at least more fun, than the original Shahancha. It is a guaranteed 111 damage after all. That should make any scout or spy think twice about chasing you around that corner. Buffed. And speaking of spies, let's talk about the Tribalman's Shiv. In normal TF2, it's a decent way to reveal spies, but nowhere near as good as the Jarate. So I just leaned into the bleed a little more and made it do less damage on hit with longer bleed time, meaning it does 87 damage over the course of 10 seconds instead of 81 damage over the course of 6 seconds. 10 seconds is also how long how long Jarate lasts, just for reference. 4 extra seconds to chase down a spy will definitely come in handy, but it's not really doing any extra damage.
I like the idea, because it just helps
alright,
you chase
that was a lot
down
of changes
better.
for just sniper and heavy, but I think we can all agree that those are the classes that needed them the most.
Why does
These
the
next ones will be a
change?
lot faster, like Soldier. I mean, I might be biased because he's my most played class, but I can't think of a single weapon he has that doesn't work the way it should. Moving on to Scout. I'm just playing with you, alright? You didn't think I'd forget the weakest weapon in the game, did you? The Righteous Bison? This thing sucks. So I quadrupled its fire rate to have a kind of net-like effect where you catch enemies. You know, like you're creating a wall of projectiles rather than trying to actually aim individual shots, which proves to be completely impossible with this weapon. Now it actually has a mid-range use of pushing a sniper out of his nest or breaking up a big cluster of enemies, instead of just being, the fucking worst weapon in the game. It's still not going to be out damaging your rocket launcher though, so don't get any big ideas. It should be fun to play with though.
A little overpowered.
Okay, now it's time for Scout.
No, I was going to say,
realistic.
it's kind of a neat idea, but it needs
you might
more.
hate me for saying this, but I think Scout doesn't have a single overpowered weapon.
Damage.
I am making this for you guys though, so if you all really think the Force of Nature or Criticola need to be changed, I'm willing to work with you guys there. But for right now, I'm just gonna change the candy cane and call it a day. Instead of 25% more damage from explosives, which ends up making this thing too situational, I'm just gonna go all the way and give him 25 less health for equipping the item. And to balance it out and make this thing actually fun, I've made it so that the health packs enemies drop when you kill.
The way it was before was detrimental enough that no one even uses the thing. Demos and soldiers are everywhere. They kill you in one shot all the time if you're not careful.
Splash damage is the scout's worst fear. Like, that's what kills you most often. So, why less health? I don't understand.
You will die so often if you have this equipped now.
Them now fully heal you, along with every other health pack in the game.
You?
Meaning as long as you don't take too much damage all at once, you could theoretically go on a total rampage with this thing. Or a sugar rush, if you will.
One demo pill
and
will
for
destroy
the
you.
third class that barely gets changed, Demoman.
Oh yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm just gonna buff the shit out of the caber and move on with my life. No more damage nerf. In fact, there's a damage buff.
Ads.
Yo, can I kick it?
Triple damage to buildings, you heard me. I want to live in a world where Demoman can charge headfirst into a distracted sentry gun and destroy everything in the vicinity, including himself. This one definitely needs playtesting, but I'm praying to God that it works the way I want it to, because this image is just hilarious to me. The next change might be considered a downside, but really it's just another upside, which is that the Demoman's Ullapool Caber deals more damage to himself, enough to guarantee that the Demoman dies even if he's overhealed. Now normal, sane people will see this as a downside, but Caber users are not normal, sane people. They don't want to live after they've lost their Caber. That's all they've got going for them. It's the only thing they care about. Dying immediately after using it just means you get to respawn quicker, which means you get your charge replenished faster, which means more cabering. It's all upsides in Caber Town. Also, it gets random crits now. Fuck you. Buffed. Oh, and you know how the Iron Bomber is like super boring and barely changes anything from the normal grenade launcher? Well, it's the Carpet Bomber now.
You're gonna take one of the most loved weapons in Demo's arsenal and change it around? I don't know about that, because it really has its...
Release fire to unlaunch barrage, doubled fire, 50% primary ammo.
Damage penalty? Oh my god.
Can you turn off the captions?
Okay. Like...
Projectiles fire in a wide, unpredictable spread. 10%.
The Iron Bomber is different enough that it has its own uses. It's plenty good as it is. Projectiles fire in a wide, unpredictable
spread. Is anyone from chat still here?
Nah.
Buffed. And since these Demoman buffs might bother some engineer mans, I'll go ahead and tell you about the Texans.
They're not gonna bother the engineer
The Pumpson now fires faster, like the Reg's Bison, but not as fast, and reloads slower. And instead of draining Uber and Cloak, it just drains twice as much Cloak now. There is just no fucking reason engineer should be capable of single-handedly destroying an Uber push on his own goddamn sentry. Since spies can get a ton of Cloak from destroyed buildings, this shouldn't be too annoying for spy players unless they're using the Dead Ringer. In which case, if you don't have the Dead Ringer active, it's gonna disable it for a couple of seconds, and if you do have the Dead Ringer active, you're gonna get about, 1 millisecond of Cloak before the engineer comes at you with his wrench. I think it's about time we saw some Dead Ringer counterplay from engineer, don't you? Buff.
I guess.
Okay, time to make every engineer main watching
hey
this
there, Dragon Lord,
Your Jag is too strong. It just is. Everyone uses it, and for good reason. The repair penalty is barely even a penalty due to the increased swing speed. I think the Jag should be great at getting buildings up quick, but bad at keeping them up. So I increased the repair rate penalty from -25% to -40%. You can still use the Rescue Ranger to repair quickly, so this shouldn't be too bad.
I don't think anyone's saying the Jag is too
supreme
good,
over all the other wrenches.
No, I don't agree either.
Hopefully
I think he's just upset that people aren't using the other wrenches. Like, no one thinks the Jag is too good, ever.
It's like instead of
give other wrenches a chance, like the Southern Hospitality. It's my personal favorite and the one I always use. No.
Yeah, I think he's adjusting things to how he wants them, really.
The chance like the Southern Hospitality.
I was just using the
it's my
Jag
personal
last
favorite and the one I always use.
At all.
No spy expects you to pull this thing out, so it's hilarious to smack him in the face with crazy damage and watch him squirm away bleeding. I think it's honestly one of the most underrated weapons in TF2, and hopefully with this Jag change, that will stop being the case. The Southern Hospitality remains unchanged. And now it's time for us to discuss what, in my opinion, is the most hair-wrenching stat in all of TF2. The Eureka affects 20% metal penalty.
It's not that bad.
I hate this stat so much. It is so unforgiving. A medium ammo pack used to give you everything you needed for a dispenser, but not with the Eureka effect. A large ammo pack doesn't even let you fully upgrade your sentry or dispenser. What is this chicanery? It's so unfun to use, and it throws off your entire engineer rhythm. The taunt teleportation, granted, is awesome, but I never once in my life have used this weapon with a smile on my face, except for during weird ninja-neering shenanigans that only really work if you don't build a teleporter entrance, which makes your whole team look at you like you're an asshole. And the construction speed boost penalty is fine, but I think a more fun wrench would look something like this. Keep the cheaper teleporters, keep the taunt teleportation feature, make teleporters two-way, you heard that right, two-way, and make teleporters build 50% faster. This opens up...
Why though? Who's gonna want to teleport back to spawn? Because then, if you've got people teleporting back to spawn, they're going to be putting the teleporter on cooldown, so denying reinforcements their ability to get back to back to the front.
It would have to be a separate recharge for each side of the teleporter.
I guess.
All kinds of team-oriented teleporter shenanigans and will ideally make payload and 5CP maps more fun since your old teleporter exit can become your new teleporter entrance.
See, the problem is, though, is that TF2 maps are not that hard to navigate that you'd need teleporters between two spots.
Right.
Like, you can just... You could
It's clearly the teleporting man's wrench.
Or you could just walk around and go up the hill, and then you're there. I mean...
Right.
Why are you moving between these two spots so often anyway?
So it only has one downside. Sentries fire half as fast, meaning half damage and half knockback. And they're just
kidding me? This is too much. You just cut the DPS of the sentry gun in half. No one is going to use this wrench.
He's trying to turn him into a utilitarian engineer. No assault or defense, just like utility.
These upsides are nowhere near good enough to make up for that horrendous damage decrease. The main point of engineer, even though his other stuff is very useful and supportive, is to put up a sentry and have decent area denial. You basically just turned him into Torbjorn from Overwatch with his extremely weak sentry.
just as expensive to build, so this is really a kick in the lug nuts. I imagine this new Eureka is great with cooperative engineering, giving all the engineers on your team the ability to teleport back to spawn through your two-way teleporters and resupply their metal while they focus on keeping up the sentries. You could even do things no engineer has ever thought to do, like not placing the teleporter entrance at spawn and instead placing it somewhere on the battlefield itself, essentially allowing your team's heavies to be in two places at once or having an elevator between high ground and low ground. I'm really happy with this design, and while it may not be perfect, I'm hoping you guys can give it a shot and let me know what works and what doesn't. Alright, now it's spy time, and these changes are my favorite. Remember when I said that a select few weapons in TF2 are legitimately overpowered? Well, my friend, most of them belong to spy. First, the diamondback, which gets you a full-blown crit every time you stab someone or sap a building. You might think of it as similar to the Frontier Justice, but they are actually exact opposites. The Frontier Justice gives you crits when your sentry gets destroyed based on how many kills it had, meaning as an engineer, your damage only goes up immediately after your damage and defenses went down. One goes up, one goes down. Yin and yang, push and pull, that's called game balance. The diamondback doesn't fucking do that at all. It increases your damage when their damage gets decreased. You get crits when their heavy gets stabbed, when their sentry goes down. Being an engineer with a destroyed nest already sucks, but being an engineer with a destroyed nest sitting next to a spy with 4 insta-kill bullets in his gun is much, much worse. I'm all for snowball weapons that reward you for doing well, but look at the Eyelander or the Bizarre Bargain, for instance. These take time to snowball. You have to really prioritize survival to see any benefits from these weapons. The Diamondback doesn't even encourage survival. It's like, well, I have all my crits now, I guess it's time to freaking use my ultimate ability by running headfirst into the enemy team, killing 3 random people, and then dying immediately. That isn't the role of a stealth class, that's fucking Reaper from Overwatch. I'm fine with this being the damage gun, but Jesus Christ, that's just too much damage. So with that in mind, I am proud to introduce you to the Diamond Back-to-Back. It's just like the normal revolver, except it's only got 2 bullets. But if you manage to take someone out with the first bullet, then you've got 1 second of critical hits, enough time to fire the last bullet and take out a second target before escaping. And no, you won't be able to chain.
That is so bad.
He was just about to say won't be able to change weapon?
Together crits because the reload time is actually a little longer than the crit time. The crit itself will do 120.
So, like, I've been doing gun spy for a while to prepare for my next video about the Dead Ringer. And killing someone with the revolver is not very easy. And killing someone with 1 bullet from the revolver, well, of course, it requires them to be at low health, so that means you will be constantly reloading just for a chance to kill them.
But I'd like to point out
when they're at low health.
This weapon used to do.
What do you mean? Oh yeah, it
used to reward for correct gameplay. Like, there's a lot of spies who don't even bother trying to take out sentry nests because they, it's too hard. They can just take out the back line. Instead, they'll, if you're using the diamondback, you take out a building, you get crits. It's like a reward.
Right, that's how it used to work, but no one really used it because spies care more about getting kills than taking care of sentry nests. But what happens if the bullet you use to kill the target is the second bullet? You get no reward. The only thing you can do is reload so that it's the first bullet that kills them, but that's another time you have to reload just to gain the benefit. And you very often, I'm sure, will die doing that. If you didn't already die with the last 4 times you had to reload. Yikes.
20 damage, so if you've got a weak player and a semi-weak player in your sights, you can dispose of them both in less than a second if you really know what you're doing. Think James Bond double taps.
I did.
And you might be thinking, wait a minute, doesn't this kind of discourage the spy's enemies from protecting their weak players, since getting close to a weak player might mean they get double killed?
Worthless it is.
And yeah,
right,
it does. That's the point. The spy's disguise kit already makes the enemy team not trust their teammates and not want to get near them because they might get backstabbed, and the diamond back-to-back pushes that concept even further. With this new design, I'm hoping that a spy can break the enemy team's psychology just as well as he can stab their backs.
What?
I absolutely adore the idea for this item, but I can totally see it being broken in practice, so you guys will again have to try it out and let me know.
It's such a piece of trash.
Alright, moving on to Spy's other broken weapon, the Conniver's...
How is this supposed to hurt their
psychology?
Team? Yeah.
I don't know.
It doesn't act any different than a regular
You can't even kill a light class with 2 bullets. The revolver does 60 damage per shot at
his example was at their base, so they should be coming out with full health. So it's basically going to be completely useless there, because by the time you shoot them, you're not going to kill them with the first bullet.
I mean, did you see how much effort he put in just to kill that one sniper when he could have just shot him 3 times with the stock revolver?
Right.
And then he got a crit, and he shot it, and hit no one. Okay, here comes the kunai.
Kunai. Here's how the old version worked, or didn't work, rather.
This thing definitely
you sneak around with low health until you get a backstab, and upon a successful backstab, immediately gain a ton of health to help you escape. The problem here is that, and this may come as a surprise to you, Spy can go invisible, so avoiding taking damage before a backstab is actually not that hard, almost inevitable for any half-decent Spy player. The health gain on a backstab, however, is incredibly useful, significantly protecting the Spy after getting a kill, especially when used in combination with the Dead Ringer. The weapon's downside does not have as big of an impact as its upside, by definition making it unbalanced. And here's another shocking revelation: Spy is not—
My biggest problem with the kunai is that I don't think spies should be allowed to do such incredibly gutsy plays as jumping around and stabbing people and taking bullets over and over and getting hit by explosions, but they just don't die because they keep getting.
I think an easy way
to
change the weapon to where it's perfectly balanced would be that you can't steal another dose of health until your health is back down to its regular capacity.
I think that's too much, but I would want, say, diminishing returns, in that if you are overhealed because of your backstab, your next backstab will do a little less than it would have, and then your next one will do even less.
Heal you less.
Yeah. It'll heal you less.
Not less damage.
Yeah. So it will continue to give you overheal, but the amount of overheal you get is reduced each time. I think it would probably reset once your overheal is gone.
tank, giving him the health pool of a Pyro or Demoman anytime he's in danger distances him from his core design mechanic of stealth. Cause who needs stealth when you can take 2 rockets to the face like they're stale Cheetos? And to top it all off, we already have a knife that helps Spy escape after backstabs, the Big Earner, which is more interesting, more fun to play against, and more fun to use.
I mean, it's not
so what did I do
very
about the
good, frankly,
Kunai?
but-
Well, I might have actually made it worse. Please do not hate me for this. I turned it into a throwing knife. Just hear me out, okay?
I expected that.
It was already one of the most unbalanced weapons in the game, right? So I'm willing to get experimental and try out this potentially crazy overpowered design. I think it'll work, but I could see it totally blowing up in our face. It's just a little more melee range. That's it, right? You've still only got 70 health with no health regen, plus it deploys a little slower too. It could be balanced, right? I mean, maybe, who the hell knows?
What is the nerf so far?
It's already one of the most unbalanced weapons in the game, right? So I'm willing to get experimental and try out this potentially crazy overpowered design. I think it'll work, but I could see it totally blowing up in our face. It's just a little more melee range. That's it, right? You've still only got 70 health with no health regen, plus it deploys a little slower too. It could be balanced, right? I mean, maybe, who the hell knows? Nothing like this has really been tried before for Spy. But remember all those cool throwing knife designs on the Steam Workshop? Didn't you
I didn't even know you're
what
still
could
here.
Have been?
But yeah, have a good night, man. Thank you so much for dropping by.
Cool throwing knife
bro.
designs on the Steam Workshop. Didn't you ever wonder what could have been? The Kunai already looks like a throwing knife. I just took it a step further and actually made it one. I'll be honest, the rest of the balance changes I've made in this are, you know, based on logic, based on experience, based on good design principles. But this one, I just kind of vibed out. I'm sorry if it sucks. We can always change it later if we need to.
Yeah, he hasn't talked about what the other one.
I hope.
What?
All he said was that he made the weapon longer.
No,
but he didn't say.
You don't get health from enemies anymore.
That's the only other thing? The weapon's just slightly longer?
Yeah, 70 health is your max. You don't get health from enemies, and the range is longer. I don't hate this design. I just think
it's
both.
Useless.
No, I think it goes too crazy in both directions. The increased range is kind of ridiculous, and being stuck with 70 health would just kind of suck. I don't know. It's not terrible.
It would suck without being able to heal it. Like, what's the point of even using the weapon then?
I don't know, because if your enemy isn't in a position where you can take advantage of that increased range, you're just nerfing yourself really hard.
Right.
Because yeah, you can take backstabs that normally would be too difficult to get, but then you'll still find yourself in the middle of a group of enemies and probably be dead in the next 2 seconds. There's not really that much of a difference between this weapon and another knife, except that you will die. A lot.
Alright, time to get back to the realm of reality. The Enforcer is pointless, and it's time for it to be changed. Forget everything you know about the Enforcer. I'd like to introduce you to Le Executeur. You'll never guess what that's French for. With this thing, you've got 1 bullet per clip, less damage, less reserve ammo, and 2 times slower reload speed. Pretty good so far, huh? It only has one upside too. On hit, bleed for 8 seconds. That's 64 damage, way less DPS than a normal revolver.
Why though? Like, where is the...
That's
what is the
4
reasoning?
more damage than a single stock revolver shot at maximum ramp up. Quick recap, please. Hey, Paladin, how you doing? Recap what?
Hey.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
we're just watching about some questionable.
So, in case you didn't hear,
balances
Paladin, this is a guy who made a video on how he would rebalance all the weapons in the game that need rebalancing, and it's kind of grown infamous for being really not very good. I mean, I don't mean the guy any ill will or anything. I just think a lot of these are ideas. Yeah, I don't want to make fun of anyone.
Right. And balancing, there's a reason balancing is so hard. It's just something that is hard to get right. but some of these are going a little far, and that's why.
The problem is that these aren't just, you know, rebalances. These are like completely new design philosophies for the weapon.
Right.
A lot of them just lose
little class changes, pretty much.
Yeah, it's crazy. A lot of them lose their identity, you know.
I don't understand.
What is this? Okay, we gotta continue listening.
Yeah, but why would a weapon, like, I get one bullet, you're trying to have like a stealth weapon essentially, but he says it reloads slower, and it does only the same amount of damage, or slightly more than one shot from the revolver.
It does only 4 damage more from bleed than a single shot from the stock revolver. Yeah, that idea was awful. You should watch the VOD after we're done and see the other ones, because
you're gonna have to skip a lot of time because we were waiting for some people. And
yeah,
no one showed.
Yeah. Bit like Soda Popper being jumps instead of mini crits. Yeah, the mini crits were a bit much back in the day, though, frankly. Okay, anyway.
That's 64 damage, way less DPS than the normal revolver.
You don't say.
You might be thinking that it'd be impossible to get any meaningful kills with this thing, and, you know, you'd probably be right. But maybe you don't need to. Hit a sniper with this bullet, and he'll bleed for 8 seconds, taking up to 64 damage if he doesn't find a health pack. Yeah, that's less damage than shooting him with the normal revolver. But this isn't about damage. The sniper will be bleeding for 8 seconds, which means flinching for 8 seconds. Are you starting to get the picture? Sniper already has...
This is an anti-sniper weapon?
But
you go invisible! You're invisible! Why would he even see you? Why would you need to make him flinch? Does this guy walk up to a sniper completely visible while shooting at him with his revolver?
Also, like, this is... You didn't see it earlier in the video, but he's like heavily nerfing sniper, and then he's adding something to further nerf sniper.
Oh my god. It's just to make snipers flinch. That's what this entire revolver is.
Right.
The ability to disable Spy's cloak for 10 seconds with the Jarate or the Tribalman Shiv, and now Le Executor turns the tables. It lets Spy disable Sniper's aim for 8 whole seconds.
Who the hell cares? Snipers, Pyro already does that with a single flare from across the map.
Right, and I do it all the time.
Oh my god.
You can always equip the Cozy Camper to avoid flinching if this becomes a real problem.
This is a mild
And how can we talk about Spy without discussing Pyro? And what would a Pyro discussion be if we didn't bring up everybody's favorite flamethrower, the Phlogistinator? This weapon is going to be unchanged, because I don't think the Phlogistinator is the guilty party.
Honestly,
here.
I am kind of okay
with how it is. The fall guy. The real culprit is the Scorch shot. This thing sucks to play against. All a Pyro has to do is aim in the general direction of the enemy team and left click, and within moments his Phlog meter will now be filled up and ready to go. No more, I say. I'm gonna totally turn this thing upside down. Meet the new Scorch shot, or as I call it, the Firefly. Wait, don't click off the video. I know it looks terrible. I know it looks like total bullshit, but I promise it's not that bad. Okay. These flares barely do any damage. It's all just in the afterburn. And look at them. They don't move very fast at all either. And good luck trying to actually aim the damn thing. They go all over the place. The point of this weapon is to let Pyro do what the Scorch shot was already making the Pyro do, which is to just aim in the general direction of the enemy team and hold down left click, but with a better result. Armageddon fire on big groups of enemies to cause maximum chaos.
This is worthless.
I am a Pyro main. I would never use this weapon.
Okay, the problem...
It doesn't move fast enough. It doesn't cover enough ground. It doesn't do enough damage. It's so useless.
Okay, the biggest problem, like, yeah, its purpose is to be able to cover an area with fire to ignite players to build up oomph, right? But the biggest issue is the amount of time commitment it takes. You will be firing flares the whole time, just hoping that enough land where you can get enough fire. this thing just takes way too long to do anything.
Oh, hey, Tyrus.
Oh, hey, Tyrus. It's just the beggars from 10 times 10 mode. This is...
Okay, I have a serious flaw.
All over the place.
Look at the range. Rewind a little bit further.
Point of this weapon, any damage. It's like total bullshit, but I promise it's not that bad.
Range.
These flares barely do any damage. It's all just in the afterburn. And look at them. They don't move
Why
very
do
fast
they
at all.
fly up in the sky? Why? When are there ever going to be teammates in the sky? I mean, I get that it's supposed to be inaccurate, but just give them, like, lob so that they drift downward. But why are they flying up into the sky?
I don't see the point
either.
You've already got a flamethrower
trying to actually aim the damn thing. They go all over the place.
Why do you need
the point of this weapon is to let Pyro do what the scorch shot was.
Also, why is it inaccurate in the first place? Why can't you shoot the flares where you want them to go? Like, I get that they don't do a lot of damage by themselves, but the whole point is to hit lots of players so you can accumulate a lot of afterburn, right? Why are they so inaccurate? Is there any point?
Was already making the Pyro do, which is to just aim in the general direction of the enemy team and hold down left click, but with a better result. Armageddon fire on big groups of enemies to cause maximum chaos from a distance.
I never used the flog, ever. Ever.
I think the flog is okay in its current state.
Well, okay, yeah, it's fine. But giving up your air blast for the oomph is just annoying. And I don't care if there's a weapon that, like, I don't use the scorch shot either. I use the detonator, the flare gun, or the shotgun. Those are the 3 primary weapons. And if there's an annoying enemy pyro, you use the man melter. That is all you need.
Not actually gonna kill anybody. Imagine raining down Armageddon on an enemy push while a couple Hula long heater heavies sit behind you ready to pick off anybody hit by the flares.
I know.
Imagine just shooting a couple of these bad boys into a room, running in with the extinguisher, and just praying to God that one of them hits something. These new flares, or fireflies, are really just an inconvenient distraction. They're not hard to dodge at all if you're paying attention to them. But you do have to pay attention to them. I really think this will still manage to be less annoying than the old scorch shot.
So
maybe that makes me look like an idiot, but I don't care.
You still haven't hit them!
And remember,
it took you forever to land a single
one. We can always just change it.
What is the point of afterburn
this next
if it
one,
doesn't
though, I'm
ever
pretty
start
confident
burning?
in. The sharpened volcano
Okay, this
fragment.
one absolutely
This is, and I've thought this for like 11 years, the coolest looking weapon in Team Fortress 2. Which sucks, because it is by far the stupidest fucking weapon in Team Fortress 2. The volcano fragment ignites enemies on hit, which is pretty sick, until you think about the fact that the Pyro has a fucking flamethrower. If you're in a melee range of an enemy, you are 10 out of 10 times better off to just use the flamethrower. The point of the class. It does more damage, it has better range, it can air blast, and it will also light them on fire. This thing is completely useless outside of medieval mode. But what if we really leaned into the damage over time mechanic of Afterburn? It is the sharpened volcano fragment after all. And what do sharp things do? That's right, they make you bleed. So now instead of just igniting enemies, the volcano fragment will also make them bleed, meaning they'll be taking 16 damage a second for 6 seconds after you hit them with this, for a total of 129 damage. This may seem overpowered, but let me remind you, this is still significantly less damage per second than the normal flamethrower, which can kill a light class in less than 2 seconds if the Pyro is aiming properly. And let me also remind you that the original volcano fragment did 100 damage after 6 seconds. He sure does love damage over time, must be an MMO player. So this change really isn't that crazy. It'll definitely send enemies into a panic though, seeing their health draining that quickly. Especially a medic or light class. Buffed.
Yeah.
Speaking of medic, he's got...
only pyro weapon I ever use for melee is the power jack, because the extinguisher doesn't do enough damage anymore since it was nerfed.
So, I get his idea. His idea is, let's take the damage over time effect of the sharpened I set this up. I haven't been using it this whole time. I get his idea, which is to take the damage over time effect of Afterburn and just buff the hell out of it by also adding bleed. The problem with that is that it's not enough. People still aren't going to use this thing because, you know, you still have a flamethrower, which probably is going to be more effective than hitting with an axe. Wouldn't you say, bro?
Yeah, I agree. And the biggest thing is people like weapons which has a passive, something that the weapon doesn't have to do in order to benefit from it. This weapon has to hit in order to benefit at all. If you want the power jack, while it's out, allows you to move faster, and if you manage to make a kill with it, heals you.
The power jack is the best utility that Pyro has, and it's also the best weapon for melee that Pyro has, because it's the only one that provides a speed boost when you need it to close distance on an enemy. Right. The extinguisher gives you a speed boost, but that's only after the enemy's dead for some reason.
Yeah, and it's...
What do the comments of this video look like? I'm going to take a look when we're done.
It's so limited what the extinguisher can do nowadays, because in case you guys don't know, the amount of damage the extinguisher does is based on how much time is left on the afterburn of the enemy. So a enemy that's lit up and then immediately extinguished is the highest amount of damage you can get.
Yeah.
And the problem is, if you're already in range of the enemy with your flamethrower, it's better off just continuously flaming them. Because you're not going to kill a heavy, and you're going to put them out.
Yeah, it's just switching to a melee weapon when you're already right next to the person, just to hit them a little harder and finish off the afterburn, just is redundant. There's no point in doing that.
There's no point in it
at all. Anyway, we're not even talking about the sharpened volcano fragment anymore, so let's continue.
Yeah, it's true.
Got a couple new toys too. I'll start by talking about the Quick Fix, which in my opinion is the most underrated weapon in this entire game. I love this thing. It's really basically the only medigun I use. It's fun as hell, good as hell, and it's going to remain unchanged. I want to make a whole video on this thing sometimes because I don't think anybody truly appreciates what it does for this game. Alright, now for the real changes. The Vaccinator. We all know this thing is overpowered. The 75% damage resistance the Ubers provide, combined with Overheal, essentially increases the medic's patient's health by 600%.
It's okay.
To put that in perspective, an Overhealed Heavy with the Vaccinator Uber has a functional 1800 health against whatever damage type the medic chooses. That's basically just an Uber charge, except you get 4 of them and they charge twice as fast. If the medic's patient is somehow fighting a soldier, pyro, and scout all at the same time, then yeah, the damage resistances aren't gonna block everything. But most of the time, it's pretty easy for the medic to see what resistance is needed at any given moment and switch to it.
I don't know.
You basically win an impossible 2v1
maybe you're always running with
a
team or something, but as a scout main, the best I can do against a Vaccinator combo, a Vaccinator and a patient, is running away and hoping to find my team so that we can help me focus fire.
Like we were talking about the other day, Pyro is probably one of the best ones to come up against it because I can switch between fire, melee, and hit scan weapons. Right. And I usually never have an issue. Plus, I can separate the medic from his patient.
That's true. Scout doesn't really have that ability. He's got decent melee, but he also has 125 health, so he's
Tyrus
gonna die.
Is right.
Yeah, he was talking about the extinguisher.
From their melee range. Yeah, exactly.
Whole item needs a serious makeover. I'm completely getting rid of the damage type resistances and replacing it with a single invulnerability Uber charge that lasts a little less than 1 second. Enough time to absorb a headshot, or sticky trap if timed well.
So you can
the Uber meter charges 500% faster to balance this out, taking about 8 seconds to fully charge instead of the normal 40. I want this Uber to feel like a defensive parry instead of like a full hand of get out of jail free cards. And as for the healing itself, I leaned into the vaccination theme of the weapon by giving it an 80% reduced overheal that never depletes. For reference, this will give an overhealed soldier a permanent 220 health, until he takes damage of course, in which case he'll need to be overhealed again. I want it to feel like you're vaccinating your teammates for
the big problem with this idea is that now every team is going to be at a disadvantage if they don't have a Vaccinator medic. Because that medic will just buff everyone's health, and instantly the entire team has more health than they should. Which means that people will deal damage that they think is going to kill, but they won't, and they'll be confused why, and that'll be the entire enemy team. Permabuff MMO player for sure. Yeah.
I was just gonna say it. You know, when you see a battalion's backup on a soldier, you know their health is going to be a little bit higher than you expect. So as you're dealing damage, you know that you might be hitting them once or twice more in order to kill them. But if they have a Vaccinator medic and you're not aware if they do, it's very probable that you'll think they're dead, turn around, or turn to another enemy and get your ass handed to you.
This buff ensures that literally every team will have 20% more health. And basically, you're at a serious disadvantage if you don't have a Vaccinator medic on your team because of that.
Permabuff
and that sucks.
For sure.
That's that's really bad. I mean, this isn't laugh out loud bad, but this is the kind of bad where you're like, I can see how that's a terrible balancing decision.
Right, and it just needed a little bit more perspective on it in order for him to understand why this would be a bad idea.
There's a reason why Uber goes down over time.
You mean overheal?
Upcoming overheal. And having the survivors run back to you to get their booster shots once the overheal has been taken away by the enemies. I think this will be more fun, more unique, and most importantly,
I liked everything up until that.
Nerf.
I kind of like the idea
and now for
of
the syringe
timing
guns, or as
Uber.
I call them, the syringe guns. They're all getting changed, starting with the stock syringe gun.
Cool.
I really wanted to avoid changing stock weapons, but this one is just so incredibly terrible that it pretty much forced my hand here. I think a plus 10% faster firing speed and plus 20% faster deploy time will give it that little extra kick it needs to be a defensive tool for anyone popping up in your face. Buff. And
I mean, everyone's still going to run
tools,
crossbow.
We've got the new overdose. The old overdose used to increase your move speed while equipped based on your uber charge percentage, which is kind of cool, but mostly pointless because if you have full uber charge, you're probably going to be keeping your medigun out in case you need to pop it, making the overdose's speed boost.
Why does no one understand this weapon isn't just for retreating, it's for running to and from your patients in cramped positions. It's not like, oh, it's so I can run away if I'm in a bad position. But no, it's so you can keep your team alive more effectively by closing the distance between them. Because a lot of maps are very cramped, and such as, say, Junction. On Junction, the Crusader's crossbow is practically worthless because there's so many tight corners and stuff like that that there's no way to shoot a teammate from a good distance. So then the overdose is a straight upgrade from that because you can run between targets a lot faster.
Right.
Boost completely null. I removed this whole uber charge percentage thing and just gave it a flat 15% speed boost and 20% jump height bonus while equipped, which kind of fits with the name because...
What does 15% jump height get you?
I mean, I guess you can get to patients easier. And I kind of get why he's doing this, but this seems too good.
Yeah.
It just seems too good. This went from a weapon that is situationally better than the crossbow to something that is just something you should always have equipped if you're not using the crossbow.
And also,
yeah, the speed is passive too.
Before he mentioned that, in order for something to be balanced, it has to have a good side and a bad side to it. He took away the bad side, which was having to play well,
and he added an additional upside
of the weapon. Yeah, and then just gave it an upside.
The whole point of the uber percentage thing is that, well, first you earn the bonus speed, and second, it's so that you can preserve your uber when you build it up. You know, like also, that's the whole point.
Is there any reason to run stock now?
I guess not. You've got this thing. It does the same damage as it did before. And by the way, you know how much the damage decrease from the overdose reduces it by? A single point of damage. That's what you're giving up equipping the overdose. 1 point of damage. in comparison to stock syringe gun.
It's like the medic is taking drugs. The Blutsauger gets a simple change. Killing enemies makes them drop a small health pack in addition to its normal stats. Buffed. Which leads pretty naturally into the next change, the Vice.
Okay.
Let's just be real, this thing is so stupid. You can hit an enemy to preserve 15% of your Uber charge on death, but why would you do that if you could just equip the Uber Saw and get a 25% boost in your Uber immediately? It's encouraging the medic to make risky melee plays, but instead of rewarding him with extra survivability like the Uber Saw does, it just makes dying a little bit less punishing. But you're way less likely to die in the first place if you just stay back with your medigun instead of running in with the Vita Saw. It's totally counterintuitive, so I'm changing it completely. It gets a -20% firing speed, just like with the Uber Saw, but instead of gaining Uber on hit, you gain health on kill. A good bit of health too, a whopping 100. And it can overheal you too, like the old Kunai. In combination with the Blutsauger, I think we'll finally have a truly interesting battle medic subclass. But I don't think that will be the Vita Saw's only purpose. In combination with the Overdose, you could run in quick, nab some overheal off a weak target, and switch back to the Overdose to get the heck up on out of there.
We were just reading about how point allocation is done by the game. So how you gain points per class. And medic gains points very frequently. And with mini crits are rewarded to people who are doing well. So if you're doing well as a medic, which you should be because it's very easy to get points, you'll go around mini critting all the time.
Random critting, you mean?
Yeah. Random critting, and always getting kills and always healing.
So yeah, medic has the second fastest run speed in the game behind scout, which means he'll catch up to literally every other class. And now he's got the Overdose, which makes him even faster and increases jump height. And now he's got a melee weapon that gives him 100 health plus overheal when he gets a kill. This would suck really bad. Imagine you're a demo and a freaking medic comes flying around the corner and then it crits you with this saw, gains 100 health, and goes on to slaughter your team because he can.
And also
he can heal his own teammates.
This guy's a soldier main, by the way. He's not
a spy main. If you saw
the Pyro stuff, you'd see that he wasn't a spy.
Oh my god, the spy stuff was so bad. Yeah, I mean, this comes from an idea of making it fun, which I get, but man, this would suck to fight against, because Demo Knight, by default, runs slower than most people. It's just once he gets some kills that he starts getting fast. This, you just switch to your primary and you are zipping. I don't remember how fast he said the Overdose would make you, but it almost looks like he's running as fast as a scout.
15
but I don't think that will be the Vita Saw's only purpose. In combination with the Overdose, you could run in quick, nab some overheal off a weak target, and switch back to the Overdose to get the heck up on out of there. The same maneuver that you might do with the Uber Saw, but for a very different result. Buffed. And so that's pretty much it. I tried fixing some of TF2's.
Like, you think Uber chains can be annoying? Imagine a medic healing a medic with this setup. They both run around at the speed of sound.
Especially if it was
unkillable.
A quick fix medic where he where he takes on the attributes of the person he's healing, as in running speed and stuff. You would be able to keep up with the medic perfectly without any downside.
Right. Yeah. What you were saying, Tyrus, I think you definitely do need to switch to it to get the movement speed bonus.
The Uber Saw does. It just makes dying intuitive, so I'm changing it completely. It gets a -20% firing speed, just like with the Uber Saw, but instead of gaining Uber on hit, you gain health on kill. A good bit of health too, a whopping 100.
I didn't mean to go back as far as
and it can overheal you too, like the old Kunai. In combination with the Blutsauger, I think we'll finally have a truly interesting
you definitely have to switch to it to get faster.
But I don't think that will be the Vita Saw's only purpose. In combination with the
Go back.
What?
Right when he
combination with the Blue Saga, I think we'll finally have a truly interesting battle medic subclass.
It didn't seem
but
like
I don't think that will be the Vitasaw's only purpose. In combination with the overdose, you could run in quick, nab some overheal off a weak target, and switch back to the overdose to get the heck up on out of there. The same maneuver that you might do with the Uber Saw, but for a very different result.
This, like I said, this comes from a place of wanting to be fun.
I tried fixing some of TF2's crappiest items. And I know you might be thinking, you know, that's cool and all, but how do you know if these changes are actually balanced? And the answer is, I don't. I have a decent bit of game design experience, but if I'm being honest, I really need your help with this project. Just by playing on the server, whether or not you use the changed items or not, you'll be helping me to see how these changes affect the actual gameplay.
You should see how he destroyed the Iron Bomber.
How many did he cover? How many weapons? Because I can only recall, I think, 3 that were balanced well.
Right.
Looks like we made it to the end of the video. Oh my god. I recommend watching the VOD, skipping past all the stuff where we're waiting for people to show up, of course, to see the other stuff he did, because it's so bad. It's so bad. Just the idea. I mean, I saw what you said about the Enforcer, but I would not use it. Just the idea of taking a spy revolver and just turning it into something that is meant to make snipers bleed and flinch. What the hell is the point? You're supposed to be invisible the whole time anyway.
Yeah.
All the nerfs made sense when he said he was a soldier main.
Right, I know. Here's the thing. If Sniper was so detrimental that he was holding a choke point where none of your team could make it past, then that might be helpful to have someone who basically reduces the accuracy of the sniper. But Sniper can only hit one person at a time and has to reload before scoping back in, which should be enough time for your team to bomb rush that corner and get past it.
I hate how snipers come out of nowhere. You can't see them. I let Sniper jump onto any mapped geometry so he can hide better.
Right.
This is either an elaborate shitpost or the ultimate proof that not just Valve doesn't know what to do with this game, but the community doesn't either. Soldier main, 50 hours in game, nerfs spy, Lamau. Wait, where did it say he was only 50 hours? I don't understand any changes I saw, and I'm a soldier main. Oh my god.
Would you even make the Enforcer worse?
Bro, nerf the Enforcer somehow. Oh my god. How did you make it worse? The Le Executioner's entire point of flinching a sniper is nullified by the Cozy Camper, which you buffed. He's got a point.
That's right. That's right.
Guys, I balanced the weapons. Makes the necessary reworks.
Did you see the Razorback? What the Razorback does now? The Razorback no longer defends your back. It just, if you get backstabbed, it coats you in pee for 7 seconds. And that's it. That's all it does.
Oh my god. Well, I mean, it does increase your max health by 25. That's pretty good, frankly.
That's pretty good, but Huntsman Sniper is already somewhat overpowered.
Yeah, imagine hitting someone cross-map with Bleed Forcer for 6 seconds of bleed. I see what you mean, but as a Pyro, you could just shoot him with a flare gun and do 80 damage worth of afterburn.
Yeah, just use the new and improved Scorch shot, right?
Yeah!
You'll definitely hit someone.
I know what you mean, Tyrus. That would be kind of neat, but it would be the wrong thing for Spy.
Also,
Spy wouldn't be able to make use of that properly. Nerf Sniper into the ground.
But it wouldn't be very effective, because if they're across the map, that means they're on their own territory, which would make them... or would be very easy to run over to a health pack and heal.
Bro turned the brainless, spammable Scorch shot into an even more brainless, spammable gun and called it a nerf.
And it sucks.
Yeah, it's terrible. Nerfs the sniper into the ground with somewhat actually good reworks. Changes the weapon so it isn't affected by tracers, one of the main characteristics of the entire rework. Changes the DDS to make it... Oh, the Darwin's Danger Shield. Changes the Darwin's Danger Shield to make it so you can jump 20 feet into the air and quickly reposition yourself in a moment's notice. And that, my friends, is how the entire server became sniper versus sniper class wars.
The Darwin's Danger Shield will make you run faster and allow you to jump 20 feet in the air. That is exactly what it does. That is what he was going to change it to.
You turn into a frog, essentially, because you jump 20 feet in the air and you move a little faster, and that's somehow more balanced than the bullet resistance that used to have.
I thought it was fire resistance.
No, before it had fire resistance, it gave you plus 25 max health and bullet resistance.
Oh, okay.
People hated it because you could survive a quick scope headshot.
Yeah, well, that's pretty good.
Somehow remove any leftover reason to use the Enforcer. Literally state you can negate its bleeding effect if you use the Cozy Camper. Buffed!
Right. MF has cooked so badly that every singular comment on this video is "Don't cook again." Congrats.
These are some psychotic balance changes, and I'm still only in the heavy section. Oh my god.
So Tyrus, I don't know if you saw and I don't know if Paladin's still here, but I don't know if you saw the changes he was going to make to the Kunai, but it no longer heals you, and it has
a little more range.
Longer range. So it has a longer range than any of Demo's swords. You can just walk up behind someone, they're quite a ways ahead of you, and just backstab them. And that is the entire change. You can't heal anymore. You have 70 health, and you can backstab from like 3 feet away. No, it's more than that. Probably 5 feet away.
I noticed this too. Not gonna lie, I think the biggest sin of this video was thinking the family business has 7 shots in the mag when it actually has 8. I noticed that. I was like, did he misspeak or something? Because the family business has 8, not 7.
I never play heavy, and I never use the family business, so I had no idea.
Oh man, people are just tearing him to shreds right now in these comments.
Struggling against bots the entire video really shows the kind of guy we're working with here. Hey, in fairness, bots can be a pain in the ass to fight because they don't act like a human at all.
I can't believe you made this video and didn't mention the Wrangler as an engineer main. It's OP. Never let this man design a game ever. You're kind of cooking until the snipers start hopping around 10 feet in the air. Oh man. Dog, imagine you're pushing the cart and dust bowl through the choke your segments and 2 enemy pyros of the scorch shot. Yikes. Just freaking flares flying through the air all over the place.
I just realized something.
What?
He never mentioned the gas passer.
Yeah, people are talking about the weapons that he didn't mention, and he said he just wanted he didn't want this video to go on too long, which I kind of get. But
he brought the stock syringe instead of the gas passer?
Yeah, I definitely would have tackled the ones that people really want to see reworked over the ones that no one really cares about. Oh my god.
It's yeah, I don't want to insult the guy or anything, you know.
Yeah.
I don't. It's not. You know, he made a video that is pretty much impossible to have everyone pleased on.
I am gonna put a dislike on this video, but this making bad balance suggestions is nowhere near enough to dislike a person or make fun of them or anything like that. These are all almost all of them are terrible. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest. Almost all of them are really, really bad and should not be put in the game. But he's just a guy who made a video, and he's probably a little new to TF2, as people have been saying. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with trying something.
What it seems like to me is that he's come from newer games that are balanced in different ways, like Overwatch and and other games similar,
Wow.
and come back to TF2 and been like, this is too slow, this is different, and wanted to change it to be matching things he's played that have come out in recent years.
This guy had plenty to say. Look at that.
Yeah.
But I suppose
Yeah,
we've been going for an hour and 43 minutes right now.
Probably closer to an hour.
Oh my
because of the
God.
waiting at the start.
Yeah. Oh, well, like I said, I don't mean any ill will toward this guy. I'm sure he's a good person and everything. He just, you know, he just didn't make the best suggestions. So,
And
that's
also, it's an
kind of it.
impossible. He literally made an impossible video. No one ever would agree with every single change he made.
Well, yeah, that's true. I have some ideas myself, but yeah. Of course, not insulting him, he just has absolutely no clue and clearly hasn't played for very long. Exactly. He's just not super experienced with the game. And it's kind of obvious.
Another weapon that
I'm
should have been
impressed that
covered
he
is
was
the
bold enough
hot
to
hand.
do this, though. Yeah, the hot hand, clearly. Like, I don't even know why they put that thing in the game.
It's completely and utterly useless.
Yeah.
Like, at least the mitts for heavy are good at shutting down Ubers, but the hot hand does nothing.
Yeah. I will commend him that he was bold enough to put this together and bold enough to believe that these suggestions were good.
Hey, he's running a server, you know, like...
Is he still? Because the reception to this is so
Bad.
unanimously negative.
No, who
But-
knows? Like, he was running a server, he was playing it, and if people like or want to test any of his stuff, if he's still running the server, then you can check it out and try it. But I don't necessarily think that this should be added to standard TF2. If you wanted to make a TF2 server mod or server...
He does have a server open.
Okay, yeah. 4 players.
Oh, it's almost midnight, so, you know.
Right.
Oh man, but yeah, there we go. He probably has more hours editing this video than he played the game. Well, I don't know about that, but
It was actually a pretty well edited video.
it was pretty well edited. He even has a Spyro splash screen.
Problem
at the
by
end
clicking
here.
this Patreon button. There's
Which
a couple of very
I
fine folks that already have, and I
I
owe this
really
entire
appreciate.
project all to them.
I love that. It
Especially my
looks
main
exactly
man, Cindy.
like Spyro.
Oh, and also thanks to Fish Stick on a Stick and
Fish stick on a stick.
So I thought that was fish on a stick for a second.
Hopefully he can improve his knowledge of the game.
Yeah.
Decent edit with no clue. Yeah. But that's it. That's the entire reason we were streaming tonight. So yeah. This video did not let me down. I was really hoping for some for it to live up to what I've been told about it. And it did. Because it's pretty funny. It was pretty funny.
Yeah. It's
But yeah.
One thing I am a little bit disappointed in is he covered a lot of weapons that I think he had personal gripes with instead of weapons that needed actual changes.
This was very biased.
Right. And I really would have liked to see him cover some things that the community has all together decided are weapons that need buffing or weapons that need nerfing. Not just things that he finds annoying himself, because clearly he found Spy, Sniper very annoying.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Well. Anything else we gonna do, bro, or is it time to go?
I'm ready to go make some supper.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for sticking around, Paladin. It was a lot of fun watching this
And
with you.
I think Tyrus is still here.
The participants doesn't say Tyrus is here, but he might be. I don't know. YouTube really sucks at displaying who's here.
Well, anyway, yeah, Paladin, thanks for stopping by. Tyrus, thanks for stopping by if you're still here. I don't know. Marcus is off tomorrow, so we might stream. I don't know.
We'll
but
see.
We'll find out.
Got a lot to do.
Oh.
Might bring my car into a shop. So yeah. See you later. Thanks
Have a
for
good one.
stopping by.
Bye.
Bye.